Welcome to twofingerbanjo.com. I'm Matt Brown. I'm going to walk you through how to read the most common banjo notation that you'll find these days. It's called tablature, or most people just call it tab for short, and though it has some serious flaws and limitations, it's really what you're going to see when you buy a book of banjo music, or if you go looking online, as many of you probably have. So I'm going to just walk you through what you need to know in order to read the two-finger banjo tabs associated with all the videos on this site. As you look at the page, you'll see in the upper left-hand corner a series of 5 notes in a row, G, D, G, B, D, in my barely legible handwriting. That's the tuning of the banjo, and every single tab that I upload for these videos, I'll make a point of including the tuning that you need to be in the upper left-hand corner. And it's very strange, but the tuning is written from 5th string to 1st string, left to right. And so the 5th string, I'm going to always write it as a lowercase letter. So that little G on the left, that's your 5th string, the short string. So G tuning is going to be very common. We'll also learn some tunes in D tuning that will be A, D, E, and then in A tuning, which is A, E, A, C sharp, E, and then a couple other tunings are going to come up in the more advanced levels. Number 1 on the sheet is one of our most basic picking patterns. And the way tab works is that I will draw on each line a number representing what fret you play. So in number 1, you just see a bunch of zeros. And there's a 0 on the middle line, there's a 0 on the bottom line, there's a 0 on the top line, and so on and so forth. Each of those parallel lines represents a string on your banjo. So the first note is open 3rd string. And the note next to it, on the bottom line, that 0 on the bottom line, that's open 5th string. And that also might be kind of confusing. The way I like to think about it is that if you put your banjo flat on your lap so that you can see all the frets, this is how tab is laid out. So that number 1 would be open 3rd string, open 5th string, open 1st string, open 3rd string, and then that's a pinch of 1 and 5 played at the same time. Before we move on, I do want to mention that the first note in number 1, you'll notice has a line coming down from it that's not attached to any other notes. When you see a notation like that, that means it's one of our longer notes, a quarter note. In contrast, the next 2 notes, you'll see that there's a horizontal, what should be a straight line, but it's not because of my terrible handwriting. That line connecting the 2 adjacent notes, that indicates that those are short notes. Those are what we'll call 8th notes. So pretty much every tab I teach on this website is going to be a combination of long notes and short notes, the equivalent of which are quarter notes and 8th notes. So number 1 is a quarter note, which is a long note, 2 8th notes, and then a quarter note, and then a quarter note pinch. In number 2, you'll start to see a little bit more variety. So it starts with open 2nd, then open 1st, open 5th, open 1st, and then that 1 is on the 2nd line down. So that's 1st fret of the 2nd string. And then this also ends with a pinch, but you'll notice that this time the pinch isn't 2 open strings. The 5th string, the note on the bottom, is still open, but sometimes we're going to pinch and hold down a note on the 1st string. In this case, 2nd fret. Moving on, number 3 shows you what a pull-off might look like. And I'll always write it this way, where there's going to be a number, and then a dash, and then another number with a P for pull-off on top of the 2nd note, so that you know that in order to get that 2nd note, you're going to use the pull-off rather than a plucking hand figure of some sort. Likewise, in number 4, this is how you'll see a hammer-on. You'll see a number, a lower number than the number after it, a number, and then a dash, and then a higher number. That's a hammer-on. So in this case, it's open 3rd, hammering on to 3rd fret of the 3rd string. And at the bottom, number 5, this is how I will write a slide. So you'll see a number, and then a dash, and then another number. And sometimes we slide up, sometimes we slide down, but I'll always, unless I forget, write an S over the second note so that you are reminded that that's going to be a slide. Of course, I should also point out all of these things in the instructional video, but if you print out a tab or are somewhere where you have the tab but not access to the video, hopefully you'll be able to decipher all of this, and I'll do my best to write legibly. If you have any questions about a particular tab or tab in general, of course you can feel free to reach out through the contact button.